First video I want to start with is this video, Taj Tarik Bey Roundtable Foundation Principles. Now, I don't think this is accurate with 40 views because I've been watching this video and sharing for years. And I don't even know who UCO Jix is, but that's not the point. Fact is, this is the video. Um, I'm going to show you how to take notes on them, what to take notes on, because we need to extract as much information that he's providing with almost everything that he says, and the points he makes, and the concepts you need to get correct. I'm still a scholar. I know I'm ignorant. We're all ignorant to some extent. We do got a lot of research to do, a lot of studying, a lot of scholarship we got to do, and this is just my attempt to enlighten those who see the value in the information of Taj's efforts with these lectures in front of classrooms. I mean, this is 2017, it says. So, and this is an older video for sure, one in his earlier days. A little bit different than what you see recently with the House of Reawakening Minds. But this just really really knocks you on your feet with this video. So I'm going to try to edit these for 15-minute intervals. Um, so let's see, 143 at 9:20 will be the first part.
Your agency against yourself. No
Always use
different than if
captions.
somebody was doing business in your name. Understand your agency against yourself. No different than if somebody was doing business in your name. No matter where they go around the world, they sign that name that don't belong to them. Why do you think persons that are called black?
That name that don't belong to them. They're talking about your ins legis, your non de jure, your legal fiction, the all that exists in the world of fiction. For instance, your ID card, it's all in all capitalizations, right? Birth certificate, capitalizations, anything, any legal document, anything involving the government, it's in all capitalizations, right? Why do they do that? They think it's just semantics, but it's not. It's a whole different entity. You look at what else has all capital letters, and you find corporations, or you'll see them at the graveyard, because they're dead entities. They're not alive, And then anytime you spelled your name, right, you've only done it with just the first letter capitalized in each word, right? You never spelled it in all capitalizations, but you sure are quick to identify as that being you. So they don't even own the name. But since you don't claim the name, you claim as being the name, which is very different, which means you're incompetent, right? You can't be a name. You can be a soul, a spirit. You can't be a name. You're more than just language, the alphabet, a utterance of our vocal cords, right? Uh, you're more than that. You're a live, sentient human being. So as soon as you say, I'm Kelly, I'm Taj, right? You are identifying as being that name, and you relinquish all claims to your heritage and your birthright, your pedigree.
That name that don't belong to them. Why do you think persons that are called black, Negroes, and color?
Notice how he says persons in the plural, as in more than one, not people. Why do you think people that are called black, Negro, and colored? You look up in a Black's Law dictionary on what persons is, and it's a corporation, bankruptcy, legal fiction, right? In all laws, all revised statutes, all federal codes is designated to persons, plural, not to any one person or to the people, but the persons, the legal fiction at which, is the only thing that they can contract with, they can engage with, is another entity that is a artificial creation of law.
Colors belong to them.
It's
Why
talking
do you think
about
persons that are called black, Negroes and coloreds can't vote unless every second praetor of the corporation after the Senate of the House of Rome decides whether they want their cattle to vote with them names that belong to them.
Cattle property. That's what he's talking about, cattle. Because when you identify as being a person's or with a gender, male or female, that's a reference to cattle property. And of course, this is all under the Roman laws, right? Rome still exists. It just turned into the church. That's why it's called the Roman Catholic Church. And they have decrees. They have so many decrees from way back when, over 1,000 years ago, on them taking over the world and being supreme, having supreme dominion over the world and over people and over their spirit. Um, so look that up. The predators, everything you just said. You look up in the Black's Law dictionary on what Negro or black or colored is, because all they've deceived the mass thinking that they are adjectives, white or black, which is an adjective. It's not a noun. It's not a person, place, or thing, or a Negro, which is a connotative terminology used to remove the heritabilities of the masses. Because if you don't claim your pedigree and your birthright, then you have no claim, right? So they make you identify as being these creations, these word creations that they created, that they came up with, and get you to identify as that. When the property at which you have heritable rights to, uh, is under, the for instance, a British subject, right? Or French subject, right? France, French, right? You don't have that with Negroes or black or colors. Look up color, COLOUR, color of law, right? This is all legal terminology that you need to be familiar with. If you don't have a Black's Law dictionary, at least fourth or fifth edition, Bouvier's, or any one of those uh, American Heritage Dictionary, an etymology dictionary. You need all these things so that you can become well versed on how they play the language game and legalese to trick you and deceive you.
Of the corporation after the Senate of the House of Rome decides whether they want their cattle to vote with them names that belong to them. Why do you think it only applies to persons who think they're minorities? It doesn't apply to other human beings around the world. It only applies to persons who insist on trying to be somebody that they're not. And no matter how many generations that takes place, they're dead in law. That's what makes you a corpse. That's where the ens ligas comes from. Do you understand?
You have to be careful. I want to point out that these AI generated captions, you got to be careful when you're reading these because they don't always put a right. Because sometimes I'll be taking notes, right? And I'll be rewinding it. I'll be rewinding it, so I can get every single little thing. And it doesn't conveniently, and the words that they mistaken is very convenient. Like it's like a simple terminology that makes the difference. I'll show you.
Dead in law. That's what makes you a corpse.
Corpse. CORPSE, not course. And he enunciated that correctly. That's what makes you a corpse, right? A dead, you have uh, no life within you, right? Because you're just a legal creation, all caps, personality, persona, in persona, uh, in persona jurisdiction.
That's where the ens ligas comes from. Do you understand? That's the 14th Amendment person. And that's why they gave the corpse the word person with the 14th Amendment. So then people get confused who can't read law. They see this a person and don't know a corporation's a person's too.
So I would have already began taking notes on everything that I wasn't familiar with that he said, and just going basics, basics. To build up your library. Uh, get those dictionaries I was talking about. Just want to make sure it's still recording. But you can easily go to DuckDuckGo, which I have as my default browser, and look at uh, Person is a being who has certain capacities and attributes such as reason, morality, consciousness, or self-consciousness, and being part of a culturally established form of social relations such as kinship, ownership of property, and legal responsibility. The defining features of personhood, and consequently what makes a person count as a person, differ widely among cultures and contexts. In addition to the question of personhood, of what makes a being count as a person, to begin with, there are few further questions about personal identity and self, both about what makes any particular person that particular person instead of another, and about what makes a person at one time the same person as they were or will be at another time, despite any intervening changes. The plural form, which is people, is often used to refer to an entire nation or ethnic group, and this was the original meaning of the word. It subsequently acquired its use as a plural form of person. Uh, that's interesting, but it left out, it gave you a hint. So let's see what this says. Heritage. A living human being used in combination. Often used in combination. An individual or specified character. A composite of characteristics that make up an individual personality. Self. The living body of a human. Physique or general appearance. 6. A human. A corporation. An organization. A partnership. An association. Other entity deemed or construed to be governed by a particular law, i.e., 14th Amendment. There's a difference between a singular person and persons, right? Are you a persons, right? Are you one entity or are you several personalities, right? Because that's what it's a derivative of. It's personality, persona, persons, right? Persona is a mask, in an act, right? Any of the three separate individualities of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit as distinguished from the essence of the Godhead that unites them, right? Which is mind, body, spirit. Any of the three groups of pronoun forms with corresponding verb inflections that distinguish the speaker. First person, the individual addressed, second person, and the individual or thing spoken of, third person. And by the way, right here, American Heritage Dictionary of the English Language, 5th edition. I have the 3rd edition, but this is the dictionary that Taj actually recommended you get to become more well versed in the connotative and denotative definitions and of linguistics and the English language. Shortly after I watched that video and shared it, next thing you know, DuckDuckGo decided to make the American Heritage Dictionary their default uh, dictionary, and it gives legal terminologies as well. But if you really want to get your head scratched, really, why don't you go take a look at Black's Law Dictionary 4th edition or 5th, or the blackslawdictionary.com, the lawdictionary.com, and look at how long of a list of definitions for persons there are, right? In the United States Code, the term color of law describes and defines an action that has either a mere semblance, a resemblance of legal right, or the pretense of right, or the appearance of right, which adjusts and the colors of the law to the circumstance, whilst the apparently legal action is itself illegal. In the US and UK jurisprudence, an action realized under color of law is an act realized by an official as if he or she authorized to take the apparently legal action not authorized by statute or common law. The term color of law first was used in English statutory law in the 13th century, originating from the fact that the soldiers and officials of the crown carried flag and the coat of arms of the sovereign to indicate that they were acting under legitimate authority of the sovereign. Right? So it's the appearance of law. but is not actually law, and they're enforcing color of law. So this one right here. Persons acting under the color of law within the meaning of this statute, including police officers, prison guards, and other law enforcement officials, as well as judges, care providers, and public health facilities, and others who are acting as public officials, is not necessarily that the crime be motivated by animus. So that's good when I would research that, but we ain't got time to do all that. See how these rabbit holes can quickly mislead you, or not mislead you, but lead you down that you should go as deep as you can, right? Before remembering to get back on track to what you were originally doing.
And so they send them